So in short, I want to go and talk about the predictive processing theory. Our brain is a prediction machine. I want to talk about it in the sense of psychosis and schizophrenia, because when you tie these two together, it explains very, very well what delusions and hallucinations are. Because with psychosis, psychosis is not an illness. Psychosis is an experience. But there are psychotic disorders like schizophrenia, and there's a lot more. I don't want to get all complicated. But first, I want to talk about delusions and the predictive processing theory. How our brain is looking for patterns all the time. Our brain is a prediction machine. It's predicting stuff. And when it has a false prediction, when it predicts something, but it's false, it's predicting something that is not really happening, something is wrong. Well, sometimes we predict something and we are wrong. It's a very healthy situation. That can happen. But sometimes the brain continues to have delusions, continues to have false predictions of what is actually going on in what we perceive as reality. Because delusions are not just wrong thoughts. So when you look at dopamine and how it's working in the brain, why it's releasing for two different reasons. One, it's releasing for when you're about to be rewarded. So when you play a video game, for example, and also as a cue to activate you, to tell you that something is going on which is surprising, special, which is salient, important. I will just give an example here. There's two different situations going on. We're looking into a forest, and what we're expecting to see in a forest is green leaves, right? We're in a forest, obviously. So our brain is predicting to see green leaves. But when we are then confronted with a blue butterfly on those green leaves, our brain is going to release dopamine. And let me tell you why. Our brain is going to release dopamine because it seems like we have made a prediction error. We predicted green leaves, but we got a blue butterfly. Dopamine is being released, and it's telling the brain, wow, something is off here. Something is surprising us. This changes everything. Now, looking at the green leaves, nothing really happens, like our mind goes blank. But looking at the blue butterfly, our mind goes, wow, something special is happening here. We have to pay attention. This is important. This is salient. This is a normal, healthy way of looking at the world. This is how we all look at the world. This is healthy, quote unquote healthy. When you're psychotic, this also happens, but differently. Let's just push aside those two experiences of looking at the leaves, looking at that butterfly. Let's push that aside. When someone is psychotic, the dopamine release is random. Where in a normal experience, based on the context, there's dopamine being released because our brain is trying to predict something, and it seems that to fail, it seems to have a wrong prediction. There's surprisal. When it comes to psychotic episode, we know there's a lot of dopamine activation, and now dopamine is being activated for no apparent reason, which means the brain is going to think, we made a prediction error. We made a mistake. So when someone is psychotic, the brain is now going to fill in the gaps. It's going to say, just throughout the entire day, throughout the entire week, throughout the entire month, that something is happening, which is important, but it's not important. Mundane events are going to look important. So remember when you were in school and you had this yellow marker and you were doing your homework, you were reading, and then you saw a word that I have to remember that word. And what did you do? You took the yellow marker and you colored the word. So for you in your brain, it was salient. It was important. This is what I have to remember, this specific word. This is what the brain starts doing, but randomly. When you're psychotic, the brain is going throughout your day, assign this yellow marker to random events. Let's say the postman is coming. Important. Something is off with the postman. Let's say there's someone walking across the street. It's going to be labeled as that's important, that's salient, that there's something off with the postman. There's something off with the guy walking in the street. So now the brain is thinking, I'm making a prediction error. I'm making a mistake here. And it's going to come with its own reasons why there's dopamine activation, why there's a mistake. So now it's going to predict, now it's going to have thoughts, it's going to have delusions. The postman is here for a reason. The guy across the street is after me. He's in a criminal organization. I'm just saying something random. But the brain is coming up with random hypotheses, and there's no logic to it. So this is what happens in the brain of someone who's psychotic. It just labels unrelated things as very salient, very important. Now, when this happens, we also have a core belief system. There is these small beliefs about the world, and we have very big beliefs. Let's say their small beliefs are things like what's in my drink, things like what did I eat today, small beliefs. And then there are these big beliefs. And these big beliefs are, who am I? I am a YouTube content creator, right? So when someone is psychotic and the brain starts to go ahead and just assign these yellow colorings to all these random events, it comes up with hypotheses, which comes up with reasons why it's so salient, all these random events. And it starts to update our belief system. And it starts with very small things, but then it goes down, all the way down, until someone starts thinking that they are Jesus Christ, the man himself, for example. A psychotic person falls into these delusions and then starts updating his sane worldviews because his reality is being altered slowly. So first it starts with these small things, but if someone is psychotic for a day, a few days, a week, a few months, a few years, this whole belief system that he thinks of himself, of the world, everything is being updated with nonsense, with delusions, with things that are not actually happening. This is very damaging. So in the long term, psychosis is extremely damaging. Early intervention is very important when it comes to psychosis, because then this belief system is going to stay intact. So how do you help someone who is in a psychotic episode or who's psychotic? You help them by blocking their dopamine receptor. You have dopamine being sent and being received, and it's being received. The receptor, if you use antipsychotic medication, you block this receptor. So this stops the delusions. This stops the hallucinations as well. I'm going to talk about hallucinations as well a little bit more. But this is how a psychotic episode works. The brain is thinking, assigning this yellow color to everything. Whoa, that is important, that is important, that is important, that is important. And it starts updating belief systems. Someone starts to think, first, maybe someone is poisoning my drink. And it starts to get worse and worse and worse until someone thinks that the CIA is after him. Or just say something random. So it just snowballs out of control. And it can happen very, very fast. But mostly it just starts, which is called the prodromal phase. It starts very, very slowly. But it can have very, very big consequences for someone who does not get the help that he or she needs in that moment. So now let's talk about hallucinations, because I just only talked about the delusions, the delusional aspect of psychosis or schizophrenia, which is a very long psychosis or recurring episodes. Hallucinations scare the hell out of people. A lot of people. They think it's scary when someone is hearing voices or when someone is seeing things that are not there. And that is a very normal response as well, that people are scared of the unknown. But let me tell you how this works, because we actually already know. It's not unknown anymore. So we perceive reality, objective reality. We all experience it differently. But what happens is not just that we perceive it through our senses, it's being processed, and that's reality. It's not just like we see, we hear, we smell, we taste, and we feel, and we are converting that information, and that is reality. Because if that was the case, we would all be passive receivers of reality. We would be like babies, not understanding what is going on. So inside our mind, we build models, we build data. And our brain is, like I said, it's a prediction machine. It's predicting. And reality is a fine line. It's a balance of predictions and reality that we perceive from our senses. It's a blend, and it blends perfectly into reality as we all perceive it. But what happens if someone is psychotic? And it can happen for various reasons. Trauma, it can happen because someone is using drugs, way too much stress. They're knocked out of balance, which means that someone is perceiving his own predictions of reality. The way that someone is predicting reality is overruling what he's getting from his senses, his or her senses. It's label more important for some reason, and I'm not exactly sure why. So the person is knocked out of balance, and the brain is going to give predictions which come in form of hallucinations, but these are false predictions of reality. So these are someone is hearing voices, or someone is being touched here and there, or someone is smelling something that is not there, or someone is having visual hallucinations, seeing someone in a room. These are false predictions of the mind. So it's good to know that these predictions, in the case of reality and hallucinations, are not just a vague feeling of something happening. It's really like, it's the same experience as someone is really being touched. So let's say someone has a tactile hallucination. He hallucinates that he's being touched on his left arm. The hallucination of being touched, or actually someone coming up and touching the person, is the exact same feeling. So the hallucination, it feels like it's coming from the outside, but it's only happening on the inside because it's a false prediction of reality. And there's a very good visual illusion, which I really like, which is the mask, the hollow mask. So you see this mask turning, and you can see the front of the mask. But once you start seeing the back of the mask, you know that it's hollow, but the face is pointing outwards. Because the brain is predicting that faces are pointing outwards. See, this is how your brain overrules with the predictions instead of actually telling you the information that's coming from reality. So this is like a visual illusion, hallucination, basically. And this is a perfect example of how the brain can overrule reality with its own predictions.